Culture is a huge topic for members of the Supper Club because it's the start of so many other conversations. You know, vision, values, the role of the founder, the role of the board, who should stay, who should go. And business is all about people and having the right people on the same bus and really aligned. So culture is one of the key things that people or members in the Supper Club talk about.
I think to begin with, I was involved in every decision in the business. That's just not sustainable as the business grows and grows internationally. So you've got to delegate to people. Delegate sounds great. To delegate, though, you've got to have people to trust. I mean, no sensible entrepreneur would delegate to somebody they don't trust. So you've got to hire brilliant people, give them time to get up to speed, and then delegate stuff that previously you've often kept really close to your own chest because it matters so much to you. And delegating isn't just getting them to do it the way you'd do it. That doesn't really work. You've got to delegate it and allow people to make decisions and even to do things very differently to how you would have done it.
I think to create an inclusive culture, it's about committing as a leader. I think that's the main, and I will point, you've got to truly, truly believe that it's the right thing to do. If you think it's something that your HR team should do, I think it's something your marketing team should do, or someone else should do, I think you're missing the point entirely. It's not something that's forced upon you in terms of you must do this. It's this is a really good thing for my business. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want an inclusive culture, because really what you're saying is, I want to include anyone who's high performance enough and meeting my values and behaviours, and I don't want to include anyone who doesn't. So it's not saying I'll accept anyone, it's saying you're defining who you'd include by really good sort of underlying things rather than by superficial similarities. But that does mean that you when you go through a process of change to make it happen, you can lose people who maybe wouldn't want to, but actually maybe for the long term it's right that you do.
With scale, obviously in the past we always wanted autonomy, mastery, purpose, the methods that were made popular by Dan Pink. As you get bigger, obviously some of the things that you've kind of taken for granted, like vision, purpose of the company, culture, expected behaviours, your staff used to learn those by osmosis because they had face time with the directors. As we've scaled, obviously that isn't there anymore, and so we've had to kind of put in process around kind of doing workshops to make sure that the vision and purpose is hammered home, bring in the appropriate leadership to provide support with regard to empowerment and making sure that those guiding principles are hammered home all the time, and then new induction processes. We've also brought in things like OKRs, objectives and key results, that were kind of invented by Intel but popularised by Google. And that allows us to give focus around objectives, measurable objectives, to kind of roll out alignment across the company so everyone's focused, singing from the same hymn sheet. And then also things like exec coaching. So obviously as kind of we've got bigger, the founders need to delegate to leadership and the management team, and so actually we've brought in external help to help us kind of both kind of get the best out of the management team as we are now, but also support the future growth of the company.
As an investor, when we look at businesses, culture and businesses which can create high-performing culture is really important to us. From the outside, we try and look at what the senior teams, the chief exec have done in terms of speaking, in terms of their personal blogs, demonstration that they really care about culture, they care about engagement with their staff. Some practical stuff we look for, that businesses at least take an annual employee engagement survey, generally twice a year really helps, so you can start listening and start that feedback loop. Other things we look for when we get into a business is looking at the board pack and the agenda to see whether people are actually a specific item on the agenda, that people really do care.
We have seen a big commercial impact from getting this right. So you can talk about sort of some of the underlying metrics in terms of retention and some of these things, but really if you look from a headline perspective, in terms of commercial, achieving your business objectives, if you have great people and they're energized and they're all values aligned and they buy into your vision, actually they'll probably think of better ways to get to your objectives than you can. So you can kind of, if you've got the right people, you kind of let them get on with it and they'll achieve great things. So I think that's really important. But then in terms of financial outcomes, for us, the year after we made sort of a big push on this, our turnover up was 25% and our profit was almost trebled, which is a pretty big commercial impact as well. So I feel they really, it's not a side project, it's core to what the business is. If you believe that people are your heartbeat, as you hopefully should, then you have to believe that getting these things right pays benefits, and in my view, it does.